Welcome to the True Demon Lord Show. I am the True Demon Lord Franco, and today we're going to be looking at and talking about my personal favorite enhancement that we have across all six of our detachments. I think it has become a lot of people's favorite. Definitely is one of the coolest. And I think aside from probably the Endless Gift for demonic incursion is probably our best enhancement that we have access to in any of our detachments. And that is the Fade to Darkness enhancement that comes in the Shadow Legion detachment. So the Fade to Darkness, or as I like to call it, the Bonk and Dash, um, it's just super cool. So you can give it to any of your Shadow Legion characters that isn't obviously Be'lakor. Um, so that could be any of your demon characters, or for CSM it would be Chaos Lord Terminator armor, Chaos Lord with jump pack, Sorcerer and Terminator armor, Dark Apostle, Firebrand, um, the Traitor Enforcer, and the Dark Commune. I think that's it. Now there's obviously some there like you're probably never going to put this on a Firebrand because it can only attach a cultist. Same with an Enforcer, he can only attach to Traitor Guardsman, you don't care. You're not going to attach this to a Chained Caster who can only attach to Pink and Blue Horrors. So there is going to be a select amount of characters you're going to take this on. With one of them being an out like straight up in front being the Bloodthirster. He's a very popular choice for this. And for reasons we will get into, he's a very good option for it. But there are some others as well. And we're going to talk about them, and then we're also just going to go over some things you can do with it, and I'm going to show you just a couple of examples on how best to use it, and maybe a little bit some cool tactics that you can use with it. So before we do get into the rest of the video, if you like the content we make here, and you want to support the channel, then please consider leaving a like and subscribe. It massively appreciated and it helps the channel grow. And if you want to further support the channel because you really like what we do, then maybe consider becoming a true denizen member here on YouTube. So the Fade the Darkness enhancement, what does it do? So, at the end of the fight phase, if the bearer's unit destroyed one or more enemy units and their unit is no longer in engagement range of any enemy units, you can just pick that unit up off the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. So, this is really good. This allows you to get, a lot of use out of your good damage dealers. And the tactic here is you run in with the unit, you kill something, you pick it up, you rapid ingress it back down in your opponent's next turn. Obviously, putting it into a position where, um, they're not going to get killed or be open to shooting, whether that be behind terrain or within six of Be'lakor because they're out of shooting range now because of Reefed in Shades or something like that. This allows you to pick up screens and not have to worry about losing a unit in a trade. Pick up, bring it down, and like one of the only options is like a really cheap vehicle. Well, you want to definitely kill it. Boom, big damage here goes out, kills it, comes away. But also just allows you to get a lot more value out of your big monsters, or your big expensive units as well. So it's just a really good enhancement to have. Really, it just pumps up the usefulness of like a really expensive damage dealing unit. So I think let's start with the Bloodthirster himself, because this dude was a forerunner and instant thought about when this enhancement came up. Now, anyone who follows the channel knows I'm not the biggest fan of Bloodthirsters, but I have to admit this wins them over for me, specifically with this enhancement, because the Bloodthirster's problem is, apart from the fact that he might roll too many ones, but I guess that could be anyone's issue, is he will go in and he will probably kill something, but then he just dies, and that's 300 odd points of just, yeah. Whereas this allows him to go forward, whomp something over the head, kill it, and then disappear, and then come back and do it over and over and over again. And he is mostly consistent damage. Again, he can suffer from from rolling ones, though that is where Be'lakor comes into it. But the fact that he, has a 6 and 12 +1 to hit for corn units, and of course with Shadow Legion, you will likely, if you're planning going for an all-rounded list, probably taking a fair bit of Corn because Corn is pretty strong in Shadow Legion. So that helps you. It also helps him. It means if your opponent has any minuses to hit or whatever, you just cancel it out. Um, which is really good. And then the other nice thing is while he's throwing out, because you're always going to take the big axe on him, and while he is throwing out 7 strength, 16 -4 d6 +2 damage attacks, if something manages to just survive on a couple wounds, or like a model or 2 models survive, at the end of the fight phase, he can pick a unit he's in engagement range of, roll 8 dice, and every 4+ will be a mortal wound. Now, because that happens at the same time that Fade of Darkness happens, they both happen at the end of the fight phase. In your turn, you can decide which happens first. So you will use Relentless Carnage first, do the mortal wounds, hopefully finish off with what he's in combat with, and then be able to pick him up. So it just makes him quite reliable at using this with the high amount of damage. He's also got 14 strength 10 -2 2 damage sweep attacks. And then let's also remember, Red Masters are very good for him because, they pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible to them at the start of the fight phase. Every corner unit that targets them gets +1 strength, AP, and damage to their melee weapons. Sorry, I'm suffering from. I've been affected by Nurgle. I'm all over the place. My nose is all stuffy, and if I sound a little bit nasally and I'm sniffing a lot, I do apologize. I'm trying not to. But yes, so the bloodthirster is a very, very good option for this, and pretty much the most obvious option. And if you want to just come in and just run kind of the best stuff and the most obvious and the easiest things with this attachment, I mean, he is an almost auto take in most cases. Now, if you want to do something a little bit different, we do have the Keeper of Secrets. And now, of course, Keepers of Secrets unfortunately took a bit of a hit in the last update. I mean, the only change they got is their Shining Aegis, which was their, they have a piece of war gear they can select, either being the Shining Aegis, the Ritual Knife, or the Living Whip. And the Shining Aegis just stood above the other two by miles because it was just a straight up 5-up for no pain. That got changed to now just being a 3-up armor save. So the problem is the Keeper, who was notoriously the tankiest monster we had, aside from the Endless Gift Ground Clean one, became not as tanky. She's still -1 to hit at T10 with a 4-up invuln and 18 wounds, so it can still take a little bit of dedication to bring down, but without that full no pain, they come down a lot faster. So the issue is they die a lot easier, right? Well, Fade of Darkness kind of helps that. Now, the thing is with the Keeper, compared to the Bloodthirster, is she's not going to go in and smash vehicles to pieces, but she'll be very good at clearing screens, clearing, marine equivalent units and stuff like that. And the idea is you're going to give her the Ritual Knife as her upgrade. So now she's got 6 attacks from her Wit Stealer Sword at strength 8 -3 damage. 4 extra attacks from her Snapping Claws at strength 6 -3 damage dev wounds. And then 3 more extra attacks at strength 6 -3 2 damage. So she's just, absolutely throwing out a crap ton of damage-free damage to attacks. Means she can really put the hurt down on something. You can give her Lance if you want to through Channel Wrath, so that helps because Lance or Channel Wrath is quite big to help the Fade the Darkness unit ensure that they're definitely going to kill the target they're going into. And then she's also got her 9 strength 6 -2 1 damage dead wound shots from her Phantasmagoria, so she can weaken something up before going into it. So she's very good at the screen clearing job, beating up on marine equivalents. Even like if you can run into a unit like a custodian unit that you've weakened up with bellical shooting, you've weakened up with her shooting, potentially some other shooting from combi weapons or something. She goes in, she finishes it off, and then she runs away again. So she's not a bad option to have, to be honest. Not, I think you're going to see a lot of Slaanesh in this attachment, so +1 AP aura will only really affect herself, because though I do think there are some uses to Slaanesh, we're not going to get too deep into that. But yeah, I think she's an interesting option. She moves 14, so she's pretty fast, and can kind of get to wherever you need her to get to, especially with the ability to just rapid ingress her in. So she's not quite on the Bloodthirster's level, but if you want a slightly cheaper, and I mean a very slightly cheaper, like 15 points cheaper option. Um, Something that's more designed to taking out, you know, inventory or screens. She's not a bad option to have. So an alternative, maybe not as good, but definitely an alternative and something I do want to test out because I do like my Keepers of Secrets. So next we are going to stay on Demon units and we're going to look at the Skullmaster, which is the Herald of Khorne on top of a Juggernaut, obviously attaches to Blood Crushers. And the reason that you kind of you're going to put it on him, maybe, is the Blood Crushers impact hits ability. So In the charge phase, after a blood crusher unit has finished making a charge move, you select one enemy unit that the blood crusher unit is in engagement range of. Roll 1d6 for every model in the blood crusher unit, so that'll be 7 dice at full strength. Um, and every 4+ will do D3 mortal wounds. Now, be aware, if you manage to kill the unit doing this, which it can happen, I've done it many times by just rolling 6 at 7 4-ups on the impact, and then doing 2s and 3s on the mortals. So it can happen, and if that is the case, you can't fade to darkness because you have to kill the unit in the fight phase, not outside of the fight phase. So just be aware of that. But this allows you to go into something, weaken it, and then, smash the unit as well, because, you're still chucking out 2 strength, 5 -2, 2 damage attacks from the guys on top of the juggernauts, plus 4 attacks from each of the juggernauts, hitting on 4s at strength 6, -1 damage lance, and then the Skullmaster himself has 5 attacks, strength 6, -2, 3 damage. So being able to go in, force some mortals, really hurt a unit, and then finish them off, especially again if you've got Red Masters nearby, that's really handy. If you've got bloodthirster, give you +1 hit, that also helps a lot. So yeah, this unit can definitely do that work as well. While being fairly tanky, T7 with 4 wounds, even though they went from a 4-up in one to a 5-up in one. They do have a 3+ armor save now, so they can definitely take a punch back as well, so not take too much damage. Should they get caught around, but they take dedication to get rid of. But yeah, I think it is another interesting option. Is it as good as the Thirster? Potentially yes, potentially no. It depends on your mortals, to be honest. But it also does have the ability to just completely screw itself over by overkilling in the mortals and then being stuck in the middle. So always be aware this unit takes a little bit of thought to use rather than just charge it in, kill something right away. But it's an interesting option nonetheless. Next, we have, I think, the most interesting option being a Fate Skimmer with a unit of 6 Screamers. Now, the Fate Skimmer is your Zinch Herald on Chariot. This wouldn't have been an option before. If I know we didn't have Shadow Legion until the last update anyway, but the Screamers on the Chariot had the old profile before the recent update, which meant they were cracked because they usually hit on 4s with no anti-vehicle or monster 4+, whereas now they, rightfully so, got that upgrade. So now they've got 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, a strength 6 -2, 2 damage, anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+. Not to mention, each of the Screamers has 3 more attacks with the same profile, and the guy on top has like 3 little -1 AP slappy attacks. Plus, he's got, 3 strength 6 -2 D3 damage dev wound shots as well. So can put a little bit of hurt going in. And the thing is with this unit is you're probably going to want to be able to throw some shooting before you go in, maybe with Bellacore, maybe with combi weapons, maybe with Havocs, whatever it may be, and then finish it off. These guys are very good at, you're throwing lance cannons, maybe Bellacore shots into a tough vehicle, and then these guys run in with their anti-vehicle monster 4+ attacks, and then just doing a bunch of 2 damage to it, finishing off, running away again. So very interesting option. They move 14, though the Chariot is mounted, so remember he can't go through walls. The Screamers can because they are beasts, but even though he's attached to the unit, he still has to go around. I know some people tried to argue, oh no, if you touch him, they gain the beast keyword. No, they're still mounted, they still have to go through the wall, because if that was the case, then they would gain mounted, so they couldn't go through the wall. So yeah, no, he still has to go around walls, they don't. But it's a very interesting option, and the Zinch nerd in me likes it. And to be honest, I'm very much looking at running a mono or very, very heavy Zinch Shadow Legion list, and this unit is in there, to be honest, because even they don't even have to go into vehicles and monsters. With the access to Lance, means that their strength 6 attacks hit winning on, against a lot of infantry stuff on 2s is pretty handy. It means they can pick up, MSUs and screens and marine equivalent style units. So it's a list. It's a unit that I do like a lot. I think if you're going to take the Bloodthirster, you're always going to give it to the Bloodthirster, obviously. But if you want to go with more of a Zinch theme, or you want something slightly cheaper, it is definitely a thought and an option. Right, next we are going to look at what we're going to look at next. Let's look at this unit, the Terminators, the 10 Terminators with the Chaos Lord and Terminator armor. So this unit is a Terminator unit, right? You're going to basically give them as many power fists as they can take, which I believe is 6 in a unit of 10, plus 2 chain fists, and then 2 guys will have probably paired weapons, right? Um, so you've got 2 guys which will have, is it 4 or 5 attacks each? A strength 5 minus 2 1 damage with twin linked, plus 6 guys with 3 attacks each, a strength 8 minus 2 2 damage, and then 2 more guys with strength 8 minus 2 2 damage, anti-vehicle 4 plus, I believe, hitting on 4s or anti-vehicle 3 plus, whatever a chain fist is. Um, so a crap ton of attacks. When this unit does Dark Pact, you can always reroll the hit rolls for them, which is very, very handy. Um, Obviously, you have the Chaos Lord in there for the Fade to Darkness. He then will probably have a Power Fist on him, or a Chain Fist. And then on top of that, he gives, or he lets the unit use the strat for 1 less CP. So Channel Wrath for basically free um, every turn. So you can, every battle round, so they can go in, charge in, get plus on the wound, not pay the cost for it. Um, and then I think his own ability, his other ability affects himself. I think he takes half damage anytime he gets wounded, which keeps him alive longer, which is quite nice. So if your opponent has precision and they manage to get into the unit, and they're trying to position him out, he has a good chance to stick around because I think he's like T5. 2 up armor save, 4 up invuln, half damage. It's quite tanky for a little character. So with access to full rerolls they hit, plus obviously lethal or sustained from the Dark Pact, pretty tasty, meaning they can really beat up on a lot of units, and getting Channel Wrath for free when they need it because of the Lord. Pretty solid unit, but it is expensive. That's like over 400 points. It's pretty pricey, but it is a solid unit to put Fade of Darkness on. Another unit which is proven to be very popular. I'm not a big fan of it. Personal preference. I'm not saying it's not good. It is pretty decent. I think if you're taking like triple Accursed Cultist squads and with Dark Communes and you're not taking a Bloodthirster, then yes, you're going to put it on one. Now, be aware, if you do have a Dark Commune in an Accursed Cultist squad, which you're going to, it can't scout. Even though the Accursed Cultists have scout, because you're attaching the Dark Commune who don't have scout, you lose scout. But, this unit is putting out D6 plus 2, strength 5 minus 1, 2 damage attacks from the torments, plus a bunch of strength 4 damage attack, strength 4, 1 damage attacks from the little dudes, and then more attacks from the characters. So this unit puts out a lot of hurt, especially on its super turn where it can advance and charge, gets plus 1 to hit, plus 1 to wounds. Obviously, you can lance it for 1 CP. So it's a really solid unit. I I just think there's better options out there with more reliability to it, personally. Um, because this unit like hits on 4s, so -1 to hit hurts it when it's not doing its super turn. Um, but it's an interesting one. I think a Dark Commune with Leaping Shadows is very, very good, and I think that's the enhancement you kind of want to have on one of these. I just think there are better options. But again, if you want to run triple Curse Cultist squads with Dark Communes and you don't want to run any of the big guys or other units, then yes, it's not a bad option to put it on. I just think there's better options out there to put Fade of Darkness on, but it is good. It is good. And then last, we're going to look at 2 characters in once because they both attach to the same unit, and that is the standard Chaos Lord on foot and the Dark Apostle. Now, I've not seen the Dark Apostle get too much love, but I like it personally. So the Chaos Lord, like the Terminator counterpart, once per battle round can give his unit, let his unit use a stratagem for -1 of the cost. So basically, Lance for free. We're going to keep saying that it is the best stratagem in the detachment. And it's just a good option to use on the Fade of Darkness unit to make sure you're really killing something. And then he can also go Super Saiyan once per game and get +1 strength, AP, damage, and attacks to his melee weapon, which will probably be a Demon Hammer or whatever the hammer is, which makes him pretty smashy. And then the Dark Apostle gives his unit plus on the wound just baked in. So now you don't need to spend a CP oh cool, what's it called? For Lance for Channeled Wrath. But instead he just has flat -1 to wound, meaning he can be stuck in combat. Maybe you have them in a certain position, they get charged, they can kill something and go up should you need it. It's just really handy. Also, if you want to use Channel Wrath anywhere else, it means his unit doesn't need to use it, and you can put it on another unit, which I do like. Um, and then obviously he can blow up his little disciple dudes as well and do some mortals. It's okay. And then the other cool thing actually is once per battle, he can pick at the start of any phase, he can pick one heretic to start his unit within 12 inches of him and unbattle shock it. So if his unit ends up getting battle shocked for whatever means, he can just go, cool, on battle shocked. And what I really like about that, it's not just on his unit, but his unit is a good one. If your opponent is charging in and you've become battle shocked, so they're like more likely to charge in now because they don't have to worry about heroic. At the start of the charge phase, you pop that ability on battle shock his unit and now go, cool, I can now heroic you again. Do you still want to make that charge even though you committed to it? Do you not want to now? So just a cool little, very niche trick, but I like it. It's quite cool. But if you want for a completely damage based character, you're going to go with the Chaos Lord. But I think the Dark Apostle has a bit more utility to him. Now, the two units they can attach to, or the units you care about, Legionnaires and Chosen. So both units have their ups and downs. Um, for being a combat unit, like getting into combat, Chosen are better because they can advance and charge flat standard. So obviously the character that joins with them can also advance and charge, whereas Legionnaires only move 6, just like the Chosen, but they can't advance and charge, which hurts. And having no access to rhinos means we can't get that little bit of extra boost from a dedicated transport. Um, and of course, I guess overall the combat of the Chosen is slightly better because your Legionnaire squad is going to have two heavy melee weapons, which are going to be strength 3 attack, strength 8, -3 at -2 2 damage, plus then a bunch of strength 4 -1 damage attacks from the chain swords. Whereas your Legionnaires will have a couple double curse weapons, so twin linked, and then I think 2 power fists. And then a bunch of standard curse weapons with a strength 5 -2 1 damage, so slightly better than a chainsaw, though I think less attacks. But more AP, which is important. Um, and again, like we said, advance and charge. The Legion has to have more OC, but obviously if you're doing Fade to Darkness, you don't really care about the OC. But the Legionnaires do reroll wound rolls of 1 and then flat wound rolls if the enemy unit is on an objective, which makes them pretty reliable. And that's why I think there is an argument, because yes, Chosen can get in better because they advance and charge, but Legionnaires just have that safety net of wound rerolls, meaning they can really get the work done in combat, especially mixed with Lance. So I think both options are good with either a character attached. I think if you're going for more damage, the Lord is probably the better option. But I do like the Dark Apostle's utility. To be honest, if I was going to take both and I'm going to take Fed Darkness, I am probably putting it on the Lord. But I do like a Dark Apostle inside of a unit of Legionnaires or a unit of Chosen. Probably a 5-man, but if you're doing the Fate to Darkness thing, you want 10-man's Legionnaires or 10-man Chosen. You want to max out the potential damage you can do. Don't take 5-mans with the Fate to Darkness. Always set to 10-mans. So they are the best options, in my opinion, for Fate to Darkness. But I just don't think the other characters really give you enough. Like you could take it on a Trance Weaver or an Rapturous or an Epitome. I don't think you would though. In a unit Demonettes, yeah. You could take it in one of the Nurgle Heralds inside of Plague Bearers, but again, no, you're just not doing enough damage. You're never taking it in any of the other Zinch Heralds apart from the Fate Skimmer. You might take it on a Bloodmaster unit of Bloodletters, but Bloodletters just, while are nice and killy, aren't like mass killy, which is what you want this on. You want on a unit that will do a lot of damage. And then the other CSM units, I just like there is, I guess, 10 Raptors with a Chaos Lord and jump pack, but again, I just don't think it's worth it over these other options. I do think these are the best Fade to Darkness options. Now, let's just take a quick look. I just set up a little bit of a scenario here. We already spoke about it. We've got 10 Chosen and a Lord. You've got a Rhino here. It's just really good because if you draw Bring It Down and it's early in the game and this is the only real vehicle your opponent's got out and you're like, cool, like the only unit I've got that can go to it is my Fade of Darkness unit. Well, I'll advance and charge it. It gets to say here, it gets in, and it kills the unit, right? Well, it kills a Rhino with Lance. You will probably do it because a Rhino is T9. Your chosen are at least strength 5, if not strength 8. So now you're getting to wound it on 4s. You're probably going to kill the Rhino, especially with lethal or sustained, and a good amount of AP. But a nice little trick here, and this is why I've set this up, just to show you the trick. So I'm just going to roughly do this, but you're going to charge him. Let's probably not have auto raise on these guys because it's going to make it a pain in the butt to show you. But the reason, or why I'm going to show you this, is to just show you a trick you can use in any of these sort of similar situations. So you're going to charge in, and then the whole point of charging in is you don't want to surround a dedicated transport fully. You want to get into it as much as you can. Obviously, be careful because you have to base it if you can. But the reason why you want to be around it enough but not fully surround it is because you don't want to allow the unit to be able to do an emergency disembarkation. So obviously when a dedicated transport is destroyed, a unit that is embarked inside of that transport, maybe this doesn't help my scenario here because it's a little bit too much. There we go, that's better. So let's say we've charged it, we've surrounded it as much as we needed to. Now, the idea is you want to be able to kill this transport. You want to obviously cover the objective as much as you can. After you destroy the enemy unit, or after you destroy the dedicated transport, I should say, before you remove before the dedicated transport is removed, the opponent has to disembark any units inside of it, and they can disembark up to 3 inches. But if they are not able to disembark 3 inches, they can instead do what is called an emergency disembarkation, and that is just a 6-inch disembark instead. Now, when they do this, they can put the unit anywhere within 6 of the transport. That includes, going through your models, because they're not actually going through your models technically. So if you end up surrounding it, you kill it. Now they can jump onto the objective, because what you're doing here is you're doing 2 things. You're destroying the vehicle, so you are taking away some extra boost from movement for dedicated transport. Let's say you do bring it down, you'll score some good bring it down points before you run away. But you're also trying to deny your opponent's primary, which is important. If you completely surround it, destroy it, the unit then jumps up 6 inches, and now you're jumping away, so your OC doesn't matter, and your opponent's still going to hold it. Yes, when the unit comes out of the dedicated transport, they are battle shocked, but in their command phase, they will unbattle shock and then if they need to take a battle shock, they will take another battle shock. But so what you want to do is make sure you're not fully surrounding it. So whether that be pull some guys back from a charge, so you're not, if you do roll high, you're not forcing yourself to base it with everyone. Manipulating who moves where, so moving some of the further models into base contact, so you're then blocking out where your other models can move. Destroying the vehicle, which, if you're going to charge it with a Faded Darkness unit, you've got to be confident you can destroy it. You destroy it, and then when your opponent does disembark, they have to disembark before the vehicle's removed, so they'll disembark here. Then it's removed, and then you pick up your unit with your Fated Darkness, and it goes into strategic reserves. So that's a neat little trick to, multiple things. Scoring some points, like bring it down without giving a unit away, denying primary or taking primary away from your opponent without giving a unit away, also denying or stopping and taking away some extra boost from a dedicated transport movement before the unit ends up moving, again without giving a unit away. Now, the other example we're going to show you here is charging into a unit that maybe is a little bit too tough for you to kill. Now, this will only work if the unit has an attached character to it. So in this case, we've got 10 Wraith Guards that have moved forward, and you've got a Spirit Seer here. We've got the Bloodthirster, who rapid ingressed over here, has run out. Now, a couple things with this is where you land on the charge is really going to matter. So if you roll your charge and you don't roll enough to basically, you roll basically, if you're here and you roll your charge, and you don't roll enough to get into base contact with the Spirit Seer, but you can get into base contact with the Wraith Guard. You have to base the Wraith Guard, and that kills basically what you're doing instantly, because the Bloodthirster is probably not going to kill a Wraith Guard, and a Wraith Guard unit of 10, unless you've got a Red Master. Then he might have a chance if you use the Red Master to and then sweep, and then you channeled Wrath. So one Red Master will, you don't care about the strength because it's not going to matter, but you do care about the AP, which will become AP3, and then 3 damage, which again is going to kill Wraith Guard rather than damage 2. And then obviously you pop Channel Wrath, so now you do get +1 to wound, so now you're winning on 2s. And then you've also got +1 AP for being pawned, so now you're AP4. So now they're on like a 6-up armor save, 3 damage apiece. That still is not guaranteed to kill the entire unit. But let's just say you want to go in, you basically want to do, you're not going to kill it, but you want to do as much damage to the unit as you can. In addition, killing the character takes away some of its utility and some of its goodness, like what makes the unit good. I think he gives him +1 hit, which is pretty good. And he gets to return models back every turn. So you're going to charge in. You need to make sure your charge is long enough to be able to physically base the Spirit Seer and be outside of an inch of any of the other models. So you're going to land here. And this will only work again if you can make it into base with the character and outside of 1 inch of any other model in the unit. In this case, we've done it here. You're then going to spend a CP to do precision through Epic Challenge, which is one of the rulebook stratagems. And then if you've got enough CP, you can always use Channel Wrath as well if you want to. And then you're going to basically throw your attacks first, hitting or going against the Spirit Seer until he dies. We kill the Spirit Seer, and then we say kill another 3 Wraith Guards. And we've weakened that unit by taking away the character. It takes away some of the unit's, utility. But now we've also killed a few of the Wraith Guard as well. You never know. We could have another unit that's charged in that, now can kill a few more of these guys. You just want to weaken it down. The Bloodthirster starts, kills the character, and especially if the character is giving a defensive buff to the unit, he can go in and do this as well. So let's just grab 5 of these dudes. Let's say we've got a unit of Chosen that has also charged into the Wraith Guard. So what you want to do, again, same trick with the Bloodthirster, is you've charged the Bloodthirster in, you've only got into base contact with the character, you've then charged with the dudes here. Now, the only problem with this is this could actually kind of do you in. This would only really help you if you kill basically the whole unit, because your opponent could then just leave this one guy that's here. And then end up killing most or other guys, and then when their unit goes to pile in, they can pile into here because they're in combat here. Now, the reason why this matters is because, again, this is the whole point of the strategy, is let's say we don't have the Chosen, and you go in with the Bloodthirster, you kill the character, and then after you've killed the character, you don't make a consolidation move because you're outside of an inch of the other Wraith Guard guy, because the character that was here was within an inch. The other Wraith Guards on the unit weren't. You kill the character with the precision, he dies, you don't pile in, and if that unit if you didn't charge it with anything else, that unit is not eligible to make a pile in and consolidation move because it didn't make a charge this turn or is not in engagement range of an enemy unit. If you do end up doing the multi-charge thing, that unit can then, as long if it's in, so say you charge Chosen in and the Bloodthirster kills the Spirit Seer and 3 Wraith Guard, say, and the Chosen kill another, I don't know, let's say 4 of them, maybe 5 of them, but your opponent is probably then going to leave, one dude at least within, 3 inches, so then they can do that. Chomp your Bloodthirster in. Now, of course, your Bloodthirster does have Relentless Carnage, so he can do the mortal wounds at the end, but it is still only 8 dice with every 4+ being a mortal wound, which means on average you can do 4 mortal wounds. And against a unit like this where there's 6 wounds there, the averages are not in your favor. So when doing this, if you're doing the multi-charge, you've got to make sure it's something that you're going to be able to have a chance of killing with the other unit after the bloodthirster's done his stuff. The other thing to remember, if this is the only charge you're making into that unit, but you've got other charges across the board, it is always best to start in this case with the Bloodthirster or whatever the Faded Darkness unit is. This really only works against on a Faded Darkness unit that is one model, like a Bloodthirster or a Keeper, or if you can get all of the models in the unit onto that one character, which is unlikely. Because if you have to get within an inch of any of the other models, it kind of kills that tactic. This is just about charging in a unit that you're not likely to kill, while also being able to still use your Fade to Darkness. Now, again, being able to multi-charge two units, let's say it's 10 chosen, and the Bloodthirster, and the chances are you are going to kill the unit, but you want the Bloodthirster to do the first bit of work. So again, you use precision, so you kill the Spirit Seer, so now he's killed his one unit. He then marks, a chunk of the other unit, and then like say the 10 chosen, finish it off. Because the Bloodthirster killed at least one unit, being the Spirit Seer, and is not in engagement range of anything anymore because the Chosen finished the unit off that was left after the Thirster hit it, you can still pick the Thirster up. So just a couple different examples of trying to get the most out of your Fate to Darkness against tougher units, bigger units that your Fate to Darkness unit can't kill on its own, but still being able to get, that kill. And again, you could do it the other way. If there was no character attached, you could charge the unit in, weaken it so the Bloodthirster can then kill it. So yeah, there's various ways to do it. This is just a good option. Charging a character if you've got the ability to do so without getting within an inch of any other model in the unit, using precision for 1 CP to kill the character, and then not consolidating. So that unit can then not make a consolidation or a pylon move if it's not in engagement range of any other units because it didn't make a charge. So yeah, that's just some examples of using Fate to Darkness. And then again, talking about some of the better characters to take it on. So hopefully you can take from this, if maybe you were struggling with using Fate to Darkness, or you're planning on using it and thinking where you want to put it, maybe you want to try out some different options other than the Bloodthirster, because while he's good with it, it gets a bit boring, right? So hopefully you can take from this, start using it in your games, and if you do, you get some good success, please let me know in the comments down below. Always love hearing how people utilize what I show them and using it to good effect. So thank you for tuning in. We will catch you all in the next one.